Hey, Ramon, the Mega Millions is up to 1.25 billion. If you win, what are you going to do?
Wait, you said I won?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
Excuse me. I didn't say you won yet.
Oh.
You might. They're drawing it Friday morning. What would you do if you won?
What would I do? I think you said I won. Listen, here's what I would do. I'd probably open up a nonprofit. I'd probably buy 2 houses, one for me, one for my family, and a third one for you. And I'd probably save the rest for a rainy day in case I lose it all. That's what I would do.
Oh, am I excited about this episode. Ramon Ray, he's a noted personal branding expert. He's actually a big-time speaker. He speaks all around the world. And, you know, in every business, there are key principles to be successful in business. And that's why I reached out to Ramon to join me for this episode to talk about what are the 5 most important principles, aspects to a business in order to be successful. I'm really, really excited to present this show to you. And please share your feedback in the comments section below. I'd love to hear it. Even if you have any ideas for other guests that you'd like to see on the show, put it in the comments section. Hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Before I get to Ray, also just want to be a mensch. Shout out to the great team here at Bottom Line Marketing Group, BLMG, that make it happen. Michal, Sruli, DJ, Nachi, and many others. It takes a team to build a village. Is that the way the expression goes, Ramon?
It does indeed.
Right,
That's the way.
So I got it right. So Ramon, it's great to have you. By the way, we're still getting great feedback from the last show that you were on together with Matt McHale. AI, yes. ChatGPT. Man, you got a great expert there. Please send my best to Matt. That was a incredible show. And also it's coming at great timing because it was still listen, there were some people that were into this for a couple of months, couple of years even. But the average Joe on the street, that's right. It was not that clear. It suddenly came on like a tidal wave. AI, ChatGPT, what is that all about? Yeah. And then you broke it apart and explained it so well. And many people have actually shared it. They shared it on LinkedIn. They reshared it in many different platforms because of the great content that was provided in that show. So thank you, Ramon. Tonight's show.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Tonight's show. 5 ways to live your best business. Now, that's a very intriguing title because, you know, whatever someone's role is in the business world, they got to show up. They got to show up smart, sharp, ready to take on the day. Let's start with number 1. You broke it up into 5 different key principles. Ramon?
Absolutely.
It's all yours. What's number 1?
And before I do that, Yitzchok, would you mind if I go back to some things you said about how your show is growing? Do you mind if I go back to that
I appreciate that. Absolutely.
Yeah. I was at a grocery store in New Jersey, and there was a line of people around the block. And I'm like, what's going? Is it Beyonce? Is it Taylor Swift? Is it some politician? And there was Yitzchok right there in the grocery store with lines of people and banners shouting his name, saying, we want him, we want him. So I just wanted to say, I'm a witness to that. I mean, you were going out like the police had to escort you. It was beautiful. And so I just want to uplift you and say, thanks for having me here again. And it was amazing. It was just amazing. So now
thank you, Ramon.
But yeah, it's good to be here with you, man.
Yes.
Good for all your team do.
Yes.
Number 1 is the aspect I find of taking risk. And this is a problem that large companies and small companies have as well. We find that large companies, for sure, they go to risk, they take risk, they don't take risk. We know that Kodak, right? The famous BlackBerry. But even for smaller companies, Yitzchok, I think sometimes we can be too safe. We can be too safe in what we're doing, and it can limit our growth. So point number 1 is the aspect of taking risk.
That's a great point. And let's even go to some examples, some famous examples. We grew up, Kodak, right? You take Kodak.
Yeah.
My understanding was that they even invented the digital camera. They invented it. And yet it slipped through their fingers, and a couple of years ago they went bankrupt.
That's right.
Let's hold on to that. How important is it to take risks? And then my second question is, okay, it's very nice to take risks, but what are some tips that you would advise on taking calculated risk, right? Because we're not here suggesting that and by the way, just, for the record, always contact your local consultant and advisor and tax professional, etc. for you to, Ramon has great ideas, but we can't take responsibility of how you're going to actually go ahead and execute it. But again, point number one is holding on to the concept of risk taking, and then some tips to make sure that you do it strategically, wisely.
Yeah. Here's an example. What can you stomach if something goes wrong? And that's very personal. A guy like me, maybe I can blow $2,000, $3,000 if we're putting money on it if something happened. A guy like Yitzchok, he could probably burn $500,000.
If only.
What's the risk? So number one is what's the overall, and you can put a dollar amount, what's the worst that could happen if this doesn't go well? Number two, what's the greatest that can happen? And if there's time, let me share with you an example. I was invited to go to England to speak at an event. This just happened, Yitzchok. It just happened. I got through the organization invited me. They put me to their event manager. The event manager put me to, I think you have to have a visa and all those things to go to Europe, something like that. I spent $798. I gave them the money to get my work visa. So happens it was a scam. But guess what? $798 is worth my full fee speaking, $20,000, $30,000. It was worth it. And guess what? I'll do it again. So is that helpful? And that works for whether small or big. What is the worst that can happen? And then what's the best that can happen? Those things align it, and then your comfort level.
All right, let's hold on to this because this is such a key aspect. Okay, and you really broke it out well. What's the worst that can happen if I go ahead or if I don't go ahead? And what's the best? Meaning in all directions. This has to be viewed because you're right. In many respects, people are just too they're afraid. What are they going to say about me? What if I fail? Mm-hmm. Right? So what if I fail? So then inaction. What if I fail? So you have to be able to look past that. But at the same time, like you said, realistically, what can I stomach? If a person's going to say, as they say, don't bet the farm on it, right? There's an expression like that. So a person's going to go ahead and mortgage their house. And so for those watching us on YouTube, you understand exactly. You take a look at Ramon's expression. But if you're listening in the radio, you don't see what he's making faces there. He's basically saying, don't mortgage your house on this. No, you got to have where to live. The answer isn't, okay, you know what? It's a great idea. I'm going to mortgage my house. And if it doesn't work out, I could always go to Grand Central. No. That's not.
Or Yitzchok, let me just push back. Let's say somebody mortgaged their house, but they could stomach it. They said, right, I'll move in with my mother, with my father, meaning, so you're right. Don't do something major. We're going to do our 401k. It fails and you guys have nothing. That you don't want to do. Yitzchok and I don't want to do that. But my point is I still hold to that because I'm that kind of guy, Yitzchok, that, I have an opportunity to be with Oprah, to be at an event I do. I do events.
Yep.
It's $100,000. Yitzchok, knowing her firepower, knowing what she could do, I would swipe my credit card for $100,000 to get Oprah to an event, knowing that I could sell it. Does that kind of make sense? That kind of thing. But you have to know yourself as well.
And you have to, and by the way, that's a great example. Meaning if you're going to bet the mortgage on your house for this, but you have a backup plan, that means you could stomach it. Right. It's all relative. Right. What can you stomach? Okay. Then also be mindful, what will you be missing out if you don't embrace this?
That's right. And that's a good side of it because the missing out, I think sometimes we look at, if this happens, I'll be embarrassed. Compared to if this happens, we'll win a big award.
Right.
Or we'll get, we'll increase our
You'll be on the cover of
37%.
Fortune magazine. Yeah.
Hello. So come on, compared to that versus a little bit of, Yitzchok or Ramon hanging our head for 2 minutes, I'll hang my head for 2 minutes.
Tonight's show is all about 5 ways to live your best business. In the first segment of tonight's show, we talked about risk-taking and inaction regarding risk-taking. What happened to BlackBerry? What happened to Kodak? And unfortunately, there's a list of companies that were once upon a time the king of the industry. And what happened? Got to be able to take risks. Ramon, there are 5 ways to live your best business. What's rule number 2?
Rule number 2 is the aspect of dreaming bigger. Many people say, I want more profitability. I want to help my customers. I want to live a great life. Everybody wants to do that, Yitzchok. So my point is dream bigger. When you think about what you and your amazing company are doing, you're a marketing company, but you have a radio show bringing information to people. That's dreaming bigger. So my point being is that I think business owners, instead of doing average, because average is boring. Average is just average. I don't even like to say the word average. I'm getting sick when I hear the word average. Dream bigger. What can I do to make a bigger impact? What can I do to take a bigger step? That, Yitzchok, is how we get noticed, and people start to notice us by dreaming bigger.
So, Ramon, take us back to you run conferences for many years. You run a big business conference. Mm-hmm. Talk about maybe like when you decided to dream bigger. You say, you know what, I'm going to take on this conference, but listen, that also involved risk taking, right? What happens? Are people going to show up? Am I going to get sponsors? And then, so you decided you're going to take the risk and you decided to dream bigger. Walk us through a real live example of that.
Sure. You may want to get your tissues. I don't want you to start crying. But in 2005, I had a dream to start my own business. My partner back then, her name was Marion Banker, beautiful woman who's my dear friend, I think of today, Marion Banker. And so I said, Marion, let's do a big event. Back then, it was just the blogs or other things I was doing, but I hadn't done an event in a hotel with the food and the lights, camera, action, the stage. Never did it in 2005. I took my credit card. I went to the Roosevelt Hotel near Grand Central Station in New York, me and my little self, and said, hey, I've never done events. What is it like? They gave me a stack of documents, sign all these things and blah, blah, blah. That was my first thing of dreaming bigger. And so here's the thing. I didn't know if anybody would come. I didn't know if I could get speakers. I didn't know if I could get sponsors, but I dreamed about it. And part of that, Yitzchok, is since I had the dream, when you think of Martin Luther King and other leaders who have helped people do amazing things, since I had the dream and the vision, other people got hold of that. And it grew from there. And I did it for over 10 years, big events in the New York area.
Are you able to share? Do you have one coming up in the next couple of months?
Oh, you should.
Or am I putting you on the spot?
No, you're not.
Okay.
I have the Entrepreneurs Conference and Awards coming up April 18th and 19th. It's a bit far out, but people are already getting tickets for it. So zoneofgenius.com/awards, zoneofgenius.com/awards. Seth Godin and many other people will be there. And I hope Yitzchok and team show up as well.
Oh, I love the title. Who came up with that title?
Let me look around. Ramon. But thank you. But that isn't that blending our points we just said. One is taking risk, because I haven't done big events like this since pre-pandemic and things. And then number two is dreaming bigger. I'm like, yeah, I can do an event with some stale pizza and a bottle of Coca-Cola. That's easy. Anybody can do that. Me and Yitzchok can sit down and have a steak, as we've done before, and do that. But to bring 300 people together, to have the best of the best come to a big event in New York City, especially for me, I'm a regular business guy, right? No, huge budget. It's a risk. That's point one. And I'm dreaming bigger.
You know what? Let's just do a little reflection. I know you're buddies with Seth Godin, and in fact, a special shout out, Ramon got him to come onto the show a while back. Talk about, again, he's written many books. I'm not going to put you on the spot, say which one is your favorite, because I don't want Seth calling you up, say, hey, Ramon, whatever. He's not going to do that anyways, but okay. Talk about
This is marketing. Here it is. I'm showing you here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So you're going to have him at the conference. Talk about even Seth, your relationship with him. How did that come about? And maybe even share a great tip from Seth before we go on to the 5 ways to live your best business.
Sure. Here's how Seth says it. Seth is a big dog. I mean, you're a big dog too. Yitzchok has his radio show and all these people, but Seth Godin written over 20 books. All of them New York Times bestsellers, been all over the world. He has one of the biggest email newsletters in the world, one of the biggest well-known marketers. So as Seth says, this started from trust. Years ago, I said, Seth, can I work with you to XYZ? I paid him. I engaged him to do some things. But from there, people begin to trust you. From there, people hear about it and say, you know what? I like this guy, Ramon. From there, it's like, Ramon, you have permission now. You can email me. That's a big deal. From there, it was like, Ramon, I'm doing a big project. He had something he was doing at the Alt MBA. Ramon, can you do a small business workshop with me? So my point being, sometimes you have to take the first step, especially people at his level. They don't know you. How can you get their attention a bit? And then after that, once you have mutual trust, the relationship grows from there. And biggest lesson, I think, is he still to this day is always careful. Did they get permission? Which is one of his first things he talked about, permission marketing.
Amazing. Ramon, let's go to number 3. Number 3 again. Tonight's show, 5 ways to live your best business. First one, take risks. Number 2, dream bigger. What's number 3?
Number 3, and you'll like this, is know your customers, the people who say, oh yeah, we sell water to anybody who wants water. We sell shirts to anybody who wants shirts. I get it. They're being a little lazy maybe, but once you know your customers so well, that's how you can serve them better. For me as a professional speaker, yeah, I can speak to anybody who'll give me a check, sure. But my perfect audience, I find 1,000 or more people. They have a stage and lighting. They often have 1 or 2 cameras at the event, and often it's in Las Vegas or Orlando. I just find those are the events that are paying Ramon $20,000 or more to speak. So any business owner, I'm sure you, anybody here, the better you know your customers, the better you can find them and serve them.
Now, first one we discussed about taking risks. Second one, dream bigger. The third one, know your customer. Okay, run a marketing firm for over 3 decades, and we understand it's all about knowing your customer. And sometimes you have to segment your marketing in order to speak to the right customer. First, I turn to you, Ramon. Perhaps break that. Before the break, you discussed that like your ideal audience, right? You said is Orlando, Vegas, the size of the crowd.
That's right.
Speak to that, both in terms of B2C and B2B, about how, not how important it is, but explaining it for those businesses out there to truly understand their customer, not just to sit there in some a boardroom way up on top of a building and assume. In fact, to that point, I understand there's certain CEOs of airlines, I don't want to say names right now, who would actually crawl into the cockpit or go out and fly, not just because they need to go somewhere, in order to experience it. If I'm not mistaken, Amazon, Zappos, they even train their people to start by answering phones so that you know thy customer.
That's right. 100%. No, 100%. I think some examples of that could be, I'll give you one more example. One of my friends, her name is Rachel Rogers. She used to own a law firm. Sassy, hair out, diva. She's a lawyer, different than the lawyer you would think. She knew her customer or who she was going after. She wanted that type, female leaning, sassy type of customer. So my point, Yitzchok, as people understand, 2 people can selling bread. One person customer is, hey, are you a soccer mom wanting to take care of your kids? Buy our bread. The other one could be same bread. Hey, listen, we got bread for you. Open that sloppy Joe, slurp up that bread, down it with a bottle of your favorite beverage. We got bread for you. Same company. You heard my voice. You heard my cadence. So is that helpful, Yitzchok, as people looking at it, as you're beginning to grow your business, and you can segment as Yitzchok, same company, bigger company, segment your marketing. But the better you know your customer, you can speak their language and how they want to be. This is a good thing to know your customer so they can relate to who you are for sure.
Okay. Now let's hold on to this because I know from running a marketing firm, there are many times that people or that CEOs or owners of businesses are somewhat in denial. They believe they know their customer, but not really. Meaning that what would be some techniques that you would recommend for a company to ensure that they really understand their customer?
Yeah, some of the best ways I find, one, surveys are good, but Yitzchok, I really encourage people every few months, several times a year, can you get out and go to their events? Can you take several to lunch? Can you just be behind the scenes and observe? Because I'm all about digital marketing. This is what I do. You know this, but nothing beats, let's say me and Yitzchok, when I shake his hand, look at him, sit down with him, I'm around him and 50 of his peers, I get a better sense. Oh, he's never mentioned sports at all. Oh, he's mentioned several times art. Oh, his library has a lot of books, or he doesn't like to read it all. Oh, he mentioned fast cars. So my point being, there's the demographic. That's a bit easier. White, black, fat, tall, short, small. We can do that relatively easier, but sometimes, Yitzchok, we stop there. You may have 2 ladies that look absolutely different, but when you go to the deeper level, oh, both are very risk averse and have a lot of money, and both are cautious because their parents died young. Ooh, now you're understanding your subsets of customers so much better. And I've learned that myself, Yitzchok. I happen to be a loud, you and I are both kind of loud, nutcase guys, and we're all over the place. You know, hey, some events I kind of have to, hi, my name is Ramon. You have to hold it in a bit. How are you? Is that helpful? It's not.
Absolutely. You know what? Now I want to go to one among your strengths. One of them is connecting with people and speaking for large audiences. What are some tricks on this note about knowing your customer in terms of reading the audience and engaging with them, making sure that, in the middle they're not going to their phones? What are some tricks that knowing thy customer as it relates to a public speaker engaging with their audience?
I love this. I was not public speaking, but I was on a social audio app a few weeks ago. Same principle, speaking high energy. This is how God made me, right? I'm this way.
That's right.
A lady asked a question of somebody I was with. You could feel her tearing up. You could feel the trembling in her voice. I felt that. I gently shifted the whole tone and said, let's say her name was Mary. I said, Mary, thanks for asking that question. I feel you have another question to ask. I'm sorry what happened to you, Mary. Take some time, because, it was a fast-moving show. Right. But I said, take some time, Mary, and ask a second question. She started crying in a good way. She felt received. So my point, Yitzchok, that's an example of knowing the customer. You're in your local coffee shop. The rule is no refunds. Get out of here. You buy your coffee. You see that mother with 3 babies in a stroller, and she dropped her cup of coffee. That's not the time to follow that rule. That's knowing your customer, as I quote on YouTube. People can see in video. And I say, no, ma'am, listen, come on back. We'll give you another cup. Does that make sense, Yitzchok?
That's a beautiful example. That's a beautiful example. Now, one more question just to hold on, because there are people out there that are public speakers, and it's actually a great topic, right, DJ, to talk about public speaking and tips on public speaking. Here's an interesting one. If, let's say, you prepared a great presentation. You did your homework beforehand, and you're prepared. But I hope this never happened, by the way, but it could happen. And you see it's just not connecting with the audience. Mm-hmm. It's like, the jokes, it's just like the vibe. What do you do? But you're on stage. There's no all right, everyone, let's get back in there tomorrow. Have a good day. Go eat. No. You're there. What do you do then?
Yeah. 3 things I would say to those who are looking to be better speakers, or those like you and I who are speakers. 1, though, to minimize that happening, do your homework as best you can, a few hours ahead, a few weeks ahead, whatever. Do minimal homework. Look at the event video ahead of time. Oh, everybody wears a tie. Everybody's not. Whatever it may be. So that's 1. Number 2, try to come a few hours early. Just, let's say a guest is coming on here after us. The smart guests, Yitzchok, they're going to be in the digital green room. That's Yitzchok style. Got it. That's his banter. Even just 10 minutes, they'll get a sense of that. So number 3, though, you're live on stage. You realize you're not connecting. As you do this more and more, and as I know I can do and I have done, and as I know you can do, I don't shift immediately. But Yitzchok, there's been a few times in my career, not because of a fault of my own, I realized what I was sharing wasn't relevant. I happen to be a person of deep faith. And before Yitzchok, I would come, 3 ways to use Twitter, how to use ChatGPT, whatever it is. And I realized this audience, I'm feeling I need to not be transactional and speak to their heart. So yes, I've been there before with no fault of my own, where I've realized, you know what? I'm looking at Yitzchok now. He's had a rough day. Nah, I'm not going to teach him how to use LinkedIn. I'm just going to say, Yitzchok, I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I know what it's like to have a tough day. Here's what I've done to not have my tough day. 45 minutes. He's now standing ovation for Ramon Ray and referring him to speak at other events. Coming back because I read the Ramon. That's what I would say.
By the way, it brings to mind, that's amazing tips. Another tip that even has to do on the technical side. A friend of mine once was speaking, gave a presentation at a major stadium. Mm-hmm. And he realized that it's a major stadium. He requested to go there and to be there a day before. Not that he was going to camp out and sleep there for 24 hours. No. But at least to go there and to test the mic and to hear the sound. And he said he was so glad he did. You know why? Because he realized when he emitted a sound, it would come up approximately 1.5 to 2 seconds after he said it on the speakers. So he then rehearsed his speech, knowing that, okay, to make sure he gets it at, that he doesn't get distracted by the reverb, because when he's saying something, it's to everyone, they're hearing it around 1.5 to 2 seconds later. So he said, if he walked up there for the first time and he was doing this, it would throw him off. It was like, could someone fix this mic? Instead, that was the way it is. That's right.
I love it. And that shows preparation, right? Because I think that you're right. As a speaker, you and I have the fast cadence. We're who we are. But if we do that in that situation, it'll throw us off. Yeah. The audience will be thrown off. So I bet he immediately said, everybody, aren't you glad to be here? And that sounded normal there. But I'm glad that's a great example. Knowing your audience and knowing your surroundings.
Yeah. I'm joined by Ramon Ray. Yes, a buddy, a friend, and someone who has endless energy. I mean, by the way, do you bounce up and down like 24/7? Do you ever go to sleep? I'm sorry, I had to put you on the spot. Do you ever go to sleep?
I try to sleep about 10 minutes a day, because I have a special diet. I'm a robot. I go in the closet and I just hang up in the closet and put my electrodes on my brain, and that's it. Yeah, I sleep about 5 hours a day.
Tonight's show, titled 5 Ways to Live Your Best Business. Number 1 was taking risks. Number 2, dream bigger. Number 3, know your customer. What is number 4? And we'll get to 5 afterwards. What's number 4?
Number 4 is the aspect of learning to prioritize, and its cousin. Part of prioritizing is learning to say, people don't like this word. People don't like it. People may be offended. Tell your children to cover their ears. No. Half your audience, Yitzchok, was like, what? Yitzchok is going to say those words on the air? Calm down, people. It's the word no.
Okay.
Prioritize and say no.
Okay. So now explain that, right? An executive comes into his office and he has 40 things to do. Now, in his mind, I got to get to everything, but it's not realistic. He's going to get to more than 3 to 4 and it done well. What does he do? Okay, how do you move forward?
Delegate a lot. Trust others that it's not going to be perfect. It could be better than you, but it'll be good enough. Get to them later if you need to. Again, delegate. And the aspect of prioritizing is knowing there's only a few hours in a day. And one thing I'd like to play a game with you, Yitzchok, is I'd like you to ask me something, and I want to teach people right now how I'm going to say no to you, but have you feel great about it, and you won't even feel bad about it. So I'm going to say no. That's the end of the game, but you're going to feel so happy, and you won't even realize that I said no to you. Ask me something.
All right, Ramon, we're preparing an event, a business event, and I'm sorry putting you in the spot here on the radio, but I hope you're ready. Ramon, can you please be the guest speaker?
Oh my, Yitzchok, you want me to speak at the event? You're going to say yes. Thank you so much. Wow, the event's great. You've done it many times before. You do the best events. I know it's going to rock. Thank you. Thank you for asking me. I am absolutely honored. Listen, this season is not a good time for me to do your amazing event that you've done many times. I've heard amazing things about it. Wow, it rocks. It's just not a good season for me. Got some things going on. 2 ways I'm going to answer. I would love to do it. Please invite me in the future, or it's not a fit for me. And if I don't want to ever do it, I'm talking to myself as we're doing it to teach, or I won't say that. I'll just say, thank you. It's not a good season for me. By the way, if I know other people that can be at the event, I'll refer them to you. And hey, tell your team, maybe you have a guy there named DJ or Shuli or others who can send me information about it, and I'll help you spread the word. I can't come. You heard my no, but I've uplifted you. I've gave you an out. I've made you feel great. I said I'll support it, but I said no to you, but I bet you feel pretty darn good.
Ramon, I wish I got a yes.
Ramon, that's okay.
It was I gotta admit, it was the nicest no I've gotten, but okay.
Right. But that's how you have to do it.
Point well taken.
Yeah, you may not be able to add all that syrup and all that butter to it like I just did, but that's the concept. As you're throwing things, Yitzchok, thanks so much. I can't look at that report right now. I will try to get to it tomorrow. Yitzchok, thanks so much for asking me to do this. I'm not the best person for it. Ask somebody else. Hey, listen, it's not a fit for me, not something I do. I'm so grateful for you. I can go all day on that. Either way, the answer ultimately is no.
All right. We're going to have an offer because Ramon brought up a great point. And anyone that's listening now or watching us on YouTube, we will gladly send you a PDF of the Bottom Line Marketing Group BLMG Time Management Template. And this is, I got to tell you, this is inspired by Chet Holmes. I showed this to Amanda. Yep. And that is a special type of document that enables you, and I've shared it with many experts out there, and they love it. It's a way of identifying what's the prioritization of what you need to get done. Because there are many things you're just going to look at your day and like, where do I start? What can I get done? But the answer is if you're just going to freeze up, then nothing's going to get done right. You have to work on the scheduling, the prioritization, and then identify what really needs to get done, what really needs my attention, what could be delegated, what could wait, and what's not important. Like what Ramon said, what becomes no? No. Yeah, certain things you have to say no. Because if you say no to the things that really should not be consuming your time, you'll get to say yes to the things that you want to get done. No, Ramon?
Absolutely.
There's no pun there.
That is powerful. Yeah. No, that is power. That's like a Maya Angelou power. But you're right. When you say no to the things that you don't need to do or can't do, want to do, you say yes to everything else. If you say no to your kids, spend more time with your mother-in-law. Say no to your mother-in-law, spend more time with your kids. No problem. It works either way. Yitzchok is like, Ramon, I didn't mean for all that, but that's the principle, my friend.
Now, tonight's show titled 5 Ways to Live Your Best Business. We discussed 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, again, take risks. Number 2, dream bigger. Number 3, know your customers. Number 4, prioritize. And also that includes learn to say no. What's left?
Did I tell him right now? Is it enough? Should I keep the suspense or should I go ahead and let the cat out of the bag?
1 second. It's really, are you able to cook up a drum roll or that's, okay. There you go. That's enough. We're ready.
All right. Systems and operations. And to unpack this, I think many of the larger businesses have this, but it's still important. But talking to the entrepreneurs in your office, the freelancers, the smaller businesses, mid-range companies, the only way to grow Yitzchok, the only way that Yitzchok is not a slave to his business, that Ramon is not a slave to his business, is systems and operations, scalable systems and operations. And I must say, Yitzchok, after I've worked with you, even doing this show, you do this well. There's a part you do, and then you have your team. Another word we can bring in, if there's time, we can bring in team who step in and probably do what they've done hundreds and hundreds of times, but it's a system. And there's no shame, Yitzchok, in being boring. Boring is good. When you think about a baseball game, a football game, they don't want to be like, oh, the 50-yard line moved today. Oh, the grass is different today. Oh, the seats are different. No, they want it predictable. And so as businesses grow and they have clear systems and operations, that's how things go. I'm going to add one more thing. I know I'm throwing a lot in one breath. Yeah. Okay, good. One more thing. I want to give a reference to Jim Collins' book called Turning the Flywheel or Flywheel. People can look at it on Amazon or a link that your team has, whatever it is. But look at your flywheel. It talks about, it's a cousin to the systems and operations. What are the things your business have that make it tick-tock, that make it work? All the big companies have it, Amazon and others. And once you get that, even for my small business, Yitzchok, I remind my team, here's the 3 or 4 simple things that make Ramon Ray Inc. work. So systems and processes, the scalable, the repeatable things that every business leader, and it is your job as a leader. If there's confusion in your business, I'm sorry, dear ma'am, dear sir, it is your problem. It's not your team's problem. That's my starting point.
Okay. Now, systems and operations, key, critical. Let's hold on to this. Mm-hmm. What would be, for someone hearing about this the first time, or a business of one and they're starting to scale, what would be it sounds like it's just too overwhelming. Where do I start? That's really my question. Where does someone start to identify the repeatable things that make the system, that make the business work? And how do they, quote, as the expression goes, put pen to paper? How do they make it happen?
Right. 3 things. 1, I'm telling you right now, all those listening to the sound of our voice and watching this, you have processes you're doing over and over again. You already have them. That's what I want you to understand. You have it within you. Number 2, the thing is, actually, what you said, take pen to paper and start documenting that. And then, for example, and I can take any example, we'll take an attorney. You just started your law practice. You left your former law firm. You're now your own attorney with your own practice on Madison Avenue in Kentucky, in China. It doesn't matter where. And maybe you have a simple thing you do. Every new customer, we first interview them. After we interview them, we pull out this, that, and the other and build a file. Yitzchok right there is an example of a operations or a system, meaning you have your operations and systems help build the operations. But the point being is that that's an example of that. Now you document that. New customer comes in. What's our intake process? Customer filled out form, automatically goes maybe to some online site. Step number 5, it goes to Jenny. Jenny sends them a welcome kit. That is an example of a clear system you have built into your business operations. And you can scale that, and Yitzchok or Ramon or whoever the owner is, we can remove ourselves out because it's a system. That's what that is.
Are there some even tools that potentially or that you either could recommend or suggest out there?
Yeah. For example, listen, Calendly is a simple tool. People think they're using it just for their calendaring, but you can connect Calendly to a task management tool like Asana or any CRM tool out there. So the answer is yes, using things like Zapier. Some people call it Zapier, but I think it's Zapier. So there's a number of tools you can connect. Your Dropbox tools, many of the common tools we use, Gmail, Outlook, all these tools have some way that you can do what I'll call gangster systematization, meaning it's kind of fake. You're hacking it together. Even if it's on paper, that's where you can start, but you can do it truly systematized using things like the digital signing forms. Okay, Yitzchok signed it, automatically feed to Ramon. Ramon signed it. The rule says that the owner and the customer must sign it. I don't need to see it now. It can go to legal. Legal reviewed it, checked off. Now it goes. So yes, tools you can use. And that's some of the best way I would say, Yitzchok, let the tools, let the automation help you scale your business faster and train your team in it to let you do other things that nobody else can do, which is visioning and thinking of the future.
Ramon, we're running low on time, but last couple of minutes. Just looking back at the 5, could we please review the 5 with a short, kind of like maybe 1 minute each or 30 seconds each, with a, what it is and the quick takeaway?
Take risk. Be willing to do things you wouldn't normally do, willing to take some risk that's good for you. Number 2 is dream bigger. Many times business owners are dreaming too small or not dreaming enough. Dreaming bigger beyond what the standard is important. Number 3, knowing who your customers are. Don't just build a product to serve everyone because you'll end up serving no one. Number 4, the aspect of prioritizing. We all only have a certain amount of time we have. Learn to prioritize and learn to say no so you can say yes. And number 5 that we just talked about, systems and operations. Have a business that's repeatable and scalable.
You make it sound so simple.
It's not.
Ramon, how could people, before we let you go, first talk about your upcoming event, and then we want to know how people can get in touch with you.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me here with you. Appreciate it. RamonRay.com or Celebrity CEO for tips on how to build their personal brand. We have an event coming up, the Entrepreneurs Awards and Conference, coming up April 18th and 19th. Sounds far away, but tickets are already being sold. zoneofgenius.com/awards. Thank you, Yitzchok.
Amazing. What an incredible episode of Mind Your Business. This will be up by tomorrow morning on all the podcasting channels. When it goes live, those that are subscribed get the notification. Subscribe on our YouTube channel at 710 on YouTube, 710 WOR Mind Your Business, 710 WR Mind Your Business. And also a special shout out to those that follow us on Business Class. Over 25,000 people we reach every single day. Many of them either on Instagram or Business Class Clips. That's on Instagram. On WhatsApp, if you wish to receive the daily WhatsApp broadcast, text 2 words, sign up. It's pretty simple. Sign up to 718-594-6519, 718-594-6519, and many of the tips that Ramon shared tonight are going to be up on Business Class. Well, this wraps up a great edition of Mind Your Business. Tune in again next Sunday night for another great edition of Mind Your Business right here on the Voice of New York, 710 WOR. Have a successful week. Thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe to this channel and be notified every single time a new video goes live. Don't miss out on any of the weekly interviews that I have with top business leaders, sometimes Fortune 500 executives. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications.